Hi there everyone, it is currently the 27th of December 2011. We're going to look out towards the Indian Ocean here in a second and also Australia. But first, I want to talk about down here in the Philippines today where we have a low pressure area moving across the country. And this is producing some very heavy rainfall across the country today. Actually, Bagasse has put out gale warnings and some of the regions down in here are seeing plus 200 millimeters of rain. And all of this rainfall is coming in the wake of all the destruction out here in Mindanao and southern Visayas. And actually, the death rate toll up to about 1,500 now, with still about 1,000 people still missing in some of these villages here along the northern portions of Mindanao. And at this time, actually, some of these cities down here are really getting an abundant amount of rainfall. And actually, Surigao seeing about 224 millimeters of rainfall in the past 24 hours. Mactan out here towards the north, about 184. And a few other villages here around Visayas, over 200 millimeters of rainfall. And this is all due to these rain bands coming across the country and lingering here over the past several days. We were talking about this earlier this week about how another surge of energy was going to move across the country, yet this has continued to stay and linger in this region, and it really is just due to the monsoonal flow pushing off here towards the north and interacting with a high pressure ridge coming in from the north as well. And we look at the Thailand Meteorological Department's surface analysis here. You can see this high off here towards the north, about a 1040 HPA at high. That's pushing down here towards the south, interacting with the low pressure trough that lingering here from Malaysia, extending all the way out towards the Philippines. And this is also causing these high winds here across Luzon and Visayas. Actually seeing gale force winds across much of the area here. So if you're definitely wanting to go to the beach or any of these coastal regions, be careful because it's some pretty rough seas out there. But also the intense rainfall due to this interaction as well. And if we just go back to that visible image, it really displays where all these convective pockets are. At this time, looks like southern Luzon seeing a severe thunderstorm right now, or at least heavy rain showers, while there are still continued reports across southern Visayas. So how long is this rain going to linger and stick in the area? Well, that's kind of a good question. And out here, let's look at the NOGAMS actually today model outlook on this system and where it's going to be maintaining its intensity at. Well, at this time, looks like it's still going to continue to linger throughout the rest of the week across Visayas and out here, and even southern Luzon going to continue to see the precipitation lingering through the region. But I want you to key in on this on Saturday and the Sunday. Look at this little area of energy coming here well south of Palau, right out of the equator actually. And then if we look out until Monday, and you can see this low developing here, moving off towards the southeastern portions of Mindanao. And with that, and actually GFS is also picking up on this low, it's going to be bringing a lot more precipitation to the area, possibly by the early part of next week. But still, about 5 days out, looks like the generation could change on this. But I am fairly confident there is going to be some sort of energy coming out of this region. I don't think it's going to be organized. Main reason is because it's coming from the equator. And when you get systems coming from this far south, they're usually not organized because of a lack of Coriolis force, and that really doesn't allow for the cyclonic circulation to pick up out of these systems. But with that said, we also had Tropical Storm Washi come through this far south, and that was a fairly organized cyclonic circulation on that. So definitely something to continue to watch out here in the coming days and by the early part of next week. But at least at this time, it looks like the area is still going to be seeing the rainfall across the region, with these heavy rain showers associated with the surge of energy that's currently pushing through the area. But how long is this going to last? It looks like maybe by the latter part of the week, especially in Luzon, it'll let up a little. But Mindanao, I am sorry for this, but it looks like you're going to continue to see some rainfall out here, at least throughout the duration of the week, and especially in the afternoon, the evening hours. But elsewhere across the Western Pacific, weather is fairly decent out here. High pressure is dominating most of the area. One big exception, though, is out here towards Japan, the western portions of Hokkaido and Honshu, seeing some very heavy snowfall out there, actually upwards of about 3 to 4 meters in some locations, and even higher farther off towards the north and into the mountains here, due to this exceptionally heavy snowfall coming across the Sea of Japan here. It's that ocean effect snow that we've been talking about very often here. It's that cold air coming out of Siberia, hitting the Tsushima current here in the Sea of Japan, and then all of it gets dumped here on the western portions of the Japanese Alps. And this is actually the radar look out of Japan here, and see all these areas in blue along the western portions of the main island of Honshu here, and also the northern island of Hokkaido, those are actually very heavy snowfall coming down out here, and that is why you're continuing to see snowfall. Really great skiing conditions out there if you're a skier, but horrible for driving and absolutely horrible for anybody who wants to walk around out in this region, because it looks like some pretty gusty winds as well. So definitely the wind chill factor is really going to be up there along the western portions of Japan and Hokkaido here. But with that said, let's move away from the snowfall here and look out towards the Indian Ocean, where we have Tropical Cyclone Thane here. I believe that's how it's pronounced, or Tropical Cyclone 6 in the Bay of Bengal. Now this system, continuing to push off towards the west, has become a little more organized today as some influence continue to push into the system, bringing some more moisture. There's a little bit of wind shear along the northern periphery, and if we zoom in on this system, you get a really good gauge on the symmetrical shape that the system's currently forming up here. Some outer rain bands really pushing out here towards the west, out ahead of it right now, already bringing some rainfall towards the Chennai area here along eastern India, but also some really good inflow as already indicated being sucked in from the monsoonal trough down here towards the south. That's feeding an abundant amount of moisture into the system, and as the wind shear is starting to let off, actually let's pull up the wind shear analysis here. You can see that the wind shear actually letting off here towards the north, so under the system about 5 to 10 knots across the entire region here, so that's allowing for further intensification. But at this time, if we get rid of the shear analysis, you can see the JTWC, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's overlay on here, and they have the system tracking basically off due west, making landfall just south of Chennai here on the morning of the 30th. So if that happens, could be a potential of some storm surge right near the coast there, but not to mention also the effects of the heavy rainfall coming from the system. And this is actually just looking at the visible imagery here. You can see a lot of this cloud formation coming around the system, but there's model outlook actually becoming more in tune with the forecast that we were just showing there. This is just showing several of the models, the NOGAPS, GFS, AVN, and the JTWC is actually here in the blacks. Well, GFS actually pulling the system a little bit towards the south, but majority of the models are pushing it off here towards the north, towards the metropolitan area of Chennai here, including NOGAPS actually taking it right over the city. So the Joint Typhoon Warning Center looks like they put it smack dab in that model consensus. But even though if it doesn't make that exact landfall, the system is fairly large and does look like it could bring in a high amount of rainfall to the area regardless of where it exactly makes landfall. So with that said, one would be very wise if you are here along the eastern coast of India or even Sri Lanka to be prepared for this oncoming system, and definitely seek shelter and listen to your local government agencies if they are evacuating you here from the coast. Definitely be prepared to do so. You don't want to take any chances out here, even if the system does remain relatively weak out here, or remains at the equivalent of a tropical storm, which is at right now about 45 gusting up to 55 knots. At this point though, I wouldn't be surprised if it upgrades up to the equivalent of a typhoon in the western Pacific due to the rapid intensification coming out of the system, and also this pretty good flow coming into it as well. But something definitely to stay tuned and continue to watch here, but don't take this storm very lightly. And lastly in this update, one other storm that we're continuing to watch out here is in Australia, and that's the remnants of Tropical Cyclone Grant here. It's still pushing off towards the east here and could move back over the Gulf of Carpentaria and re-intensify. There is a slight chance of that on the 30th into the 31st before moving off towards Queensland. Regardless, I do think that this system will move over, regain some sort of moisture, and can bring some heavy precipitation out here towards Queensland in the next several days. And actually, here's just a few of the models in the outlook here. A few of them actually here pointing at NOGAPS and the Java or the JVI model. And both of them do take this over the Gulf of Carpentaria. And if we look actually towards the intensity outlook with the models as well, all of them actually expect this system to re-intensify over the next 48 to 72 hours. So something to continue to watch here. At this point though, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center has put their final warning out on it. It really all depends on if that center of circulation can get back over to the Gulf and can get that organization back in it. Hopefully it remains over the top end here and just kind of fades off here and eventually just weakens overall. But at this time, definitely another system we need to continue to monitor in Australia. So with that said, a very long update today, actually about 9 minutes here right now. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there, and please continue to check back here at westernpacificweather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, post them in the comment box below. Thanks again, guys. Bye.